name is Travis Holcomb, and this is Three Song Story. And my guest today is an LA-based artist whose excellent album from last year was called The Return of Pachyman, and is back with a new record called El Sonido Nuevo de Pachyman. Pachyman, welcome to Three Song Story.
Thank you for having me, Travis. Happy to be here.
So the idea behind this segment is to try to get to know you through three song selections that you brought us, and we asked you to bring us something old, something new, and something of your own. So let's start with something old. You brought us a song by a group called Starcrost. The song is Quicksand from their eponymous 1976 album.
Where the sun is setting, comes a caravan led by a man, and I think he's heading for us, and raising the dust is obedient flock who worship his tongue. Now he says what he'll do will dazzle us too, 'cause he's taking his land.
I love that pick, Pachyman. Why'd you pick that song?
I recently discovered that song, and I don't know much about this band, but it kind of just popped up in an algorithm of tunes that I was listening to, and it just like stood out from a lot of things that I've been listening to at the moment. I like a lot of instrumental jazz funk stuff from the 70s, and when that just popped up, I was just like immediately set in a mood. It was like kind of like just transports you to a different kind of sentiment, and sonically it's also so lush, and the sound of the flute and her voice and the way that all that harmony comes on together, it really like spoke to me. And when I discovered it, I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I saved it on a playlist, and then every day I would just revisit that song over and over. So it was just like kind of spoke to me. And I don't know much about the band more than I guess it's the band leader was the saxophone player of the band and the flutist as well, I believe. And he was like, he had this one-off record which kind of travels in a bunch of different like kind of progressive jazz fusion stuff, but that one just like kind of takes it all apart and goes to another zone.
Do you feel like YouTube has the best algorithm as far as music discovery?
You know what? I don't know. I actually got that through Spotify. Honestly, I don't think Spotify has the best algorithm either. It was just like a random thing that just popped up that I was like, oh, finally you send me something that I'd like.
And for your second selection, we asked you to bring us something new, and you brought us a track by fellow Los Angeles artist, John Carroll Kirby. This is The Quest of Chico Hamilton. Another groovy jazz funk tune on that one from John Carroll Kirby. Why did you bring us that one?
And when I heard that one, it was another one of those tunes that I was like immediately just like obsessing over and listening to it over and over. I'm a huge John Carroll Kirby fan too. He just puts out like his output is so good, and everything that just pops like he releases speaks to me a lot. A lot of like new wave kind of sounding stuff, but also like jazzy stuff, instrumental. He just did a tune with the Raji that was also a phenomenal one. So yeah, that's definitely kind of like tied it together with that sound of the Starcrost.
You guys are both based in LA. Has there ever been any chatter about a collaboration or anything?
We never talked collaboration, but we've crossed paths many times, and we've talked in the past. But something that I would definitely love to do that sometime.
All right, and for your third and final selection, we asked you to bring something of your own, and you brought us a track, L. Benson, from your record, The Return of Pachyman. Love that track. So the influence of dub music is obviously very strong in your work. Can you talk about just sort of your relationship to dub music and maybe how you first got exposed to it?
Um, I would say in high school when I was introduced to reggae, it was particularly through this band called Cultura Profética, who is like a pretty prominent reggae band in Puerto Rico and now in Latin America. And I guess through friends, they're like, "Oh, if you should check out like the old stuff." And I was sent records by Augustus Paulo and King Tubby, and that was like my exposure to it. And to me, it was like immediately like, "Oh, I've never heard anything like this in my life." It all sounded so raw and so organic, but also so futuristic at the same time. And it was instrumental, and I wasn't used to instrumental music. And growing up, everything seemed to have vocals. But when I first heard jazz or jazz guitar in my life, I was like, oh wow, this is like instruments doing the part that the vocalist normally does. So it was a very impactful thing, and that's how I got into that, and I got kind of obsessed with it, and it kind of continued where like I when I moved to Los Angeles, I started going to dub club, and they kept putting these records, just kind of like to find a place where they did the reggae stuff in Los Angeles, just to like feel like I'm back home. And it was just like another world of like listening to records that I've never had learned before in my life. And it just like continued onwards to where I decided that I wanted to like try my hand at it.
Well, Pachyman, thank you so much for joining us for Three Song Story. It's been a pleasure getting to know you and your tastes, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.